What's up, everybody? My name is Key Air, and you are watching the important things that really matter. Today, we're going to be talking about ladies, women. You have already met your husband. Women, you have already met your husband. And I'm going to tell you how you have and who helped you to miss out on your husband. In most cases, you have probably met your husband at least a half dozen times or more in your 20s. Did you hear what I said? In your 20s, you have probably met your husband a half dozen times or more. You may have met different men that would have been an excellent husband for you, who would have loved you, who would have provided for you, who would have worked hard to take care of you and your family, and would have married you. But you allowed either some older woman, or you allowed your girlfriends or your aunties, and you might even allowed your mother to cause you to miss out on your husband because they wanted to tell you that you were too young to get married. You're 20 years old. You're too young to get married. How many of y'all done heard that? I heard that from a woman probably about a week ago that I was talking about the same stuff too. Now, 20 years old is not too young to get married. They're telling you a bunch of crap. Some of these older women, some of these aunties, might even be your mother. They're telling you a bunch of crap because they want you to make the same mistakes that they did when they were in their 20s. See, these people, including your girlfriends, who are telling you all this information about you too young to get married and you should be out here having fun and screwing half the city. That's what they're telling you. You're too young. YOLO. You only live life once. YOLO. Girl, get out there, have fun. Screw half the city. Be gone. Screw half the city. Have fun. That's what all that means. That's what all that means. Well, while you out there screwing around and having fun and getting with this guy and getting with that guy and getting another guy, first of all, you're building up your body count. So the more men that you rack up, that you build up, the less likely chances you're going to have to be able to bond with your husband when he does finally appear. And you ran into your husband probably too many times in your 20s. Now, why do I say your 20s are your prime years? Well, there was let me say fair use. There was a doctor, a female doctor on one of these talk shows a number of years ago. Female doctor came on this talk show and said, I come out here to tell you ladies that your prime years to have children is from about 18 to about 27. From about 18 to about 27. Said these are your prime years to have children. See, a woman can have a child at 20, 21, 22 years old. She can have 2 or 3 kids and her body will bounce back like I don't know what, okay? But what ends up happening is that once a woman gets to be about 27, her body starts going downhill in terms of being able to have children. Now, I know you got people who sit up and talk all this stuff about, oh, well, you can freeze your eggs and then run the street after you freeze some of your eggs. Well, whenever you finally decide you want to stop running the streets or so, and you go back to get your eggs out of the freezer, the eggs may not be any good. Or the people at the place that's freezing your eggs may have sold your eggs to somebody else and give you some duds, okay? So I'm telling you, there's a lot of, don't think that you can sit out here and run the street like everybody else, like some older women, because the people that have given you advice to tell you that you're too young to get married did not tell you that the prime years for you to have a child is from the years 18 to 27. These are your prime years. If you take 2 pictures, you take a woman's picture in her 20s and you take a woman's picture in her 40s, and you say, all right, man, which is the better picture? The picture of this woman in her early 20s or a picture of this woman 40 years old? Darn near all the men, unless they're one of these simps, okay, will say, oh yeah, the one when she was younger. One, when that woman is younger, her body snaps back. She can have a baby. Her body will snap back. She'll be back in good shape in almost no time, okay? The woman's youth, a woman's youth is her prime years, and that's primarily in her 20s. And you'll get some women, they'll say, that woman's too young to get married in her 20s and too young to get married in her 30s. They want you to make the same mistakes that they did when they were in their 20s. See, the older women, they were out there in their 20s screwing around. They were at the Freaknik in Atlanta, screwing around with everybody and their daddy at the Freaknik, or they were at the Mocha Fest in Houston, Texas, or they were out there doing all types of crazy stuff. And if you watch any videos of what took place at the Mocha Fest, I'll put it this way. It was a lot of women that was doing a lot of sucking on certain things. I'll let you use your imagination on what they were sucking on in broad daylight, in the middle of the day, in front of a large crowd of people, in front of everybody. I'll let you use your imaginations what they were sucking on. And so, anyway, the older women want you to make the same mistakes that they did, because in their 20s, which were their prime years for them to get married, which was in their 20s, they wasted those years, and they even wasted some of the years in their 30s, okay? Now, I'm telling you, this female doctor stated that the prime years for a woman is between 18 and 27. Those are the prime years. There's also the same prime years for her to get married. But if you got a woman's or a number of women telling you you're too young to get married because they want you to be out in the street like they were out in the street, they want you to make the same mistake, because many of those older women now, they don't have no husbands. They don't have no husbands because they were out in the street, and they want you to not have no husbands either. Many of these older women are going to grow old, and they're not going to have enough money to support themselves because their husbands would have been their retirement plan. Their husbands would have been their retirement plan, currently and into the future. But since they were out running the street in their 20s and some in their 30s, they don't have no husband. So the men that came up to them that wanted to marry them, they're like, oh no, I'm too young to get married. I'm supposed to be out in the street having fun and screwing half the city, okay? So, ladies, you need to keep this stuff in mind. A lot of these older ladies want you to make the same mistakes that they did. They want you to not have a retirement plan, like they don't have no retirement plan because nobody wants to marry them. When they finally decided they wanted to settle down, they were in their 40s or late 30s. I had a female friend of mine, she decided to have a kid at 37 years old. That woman had all types of problems trying to have a kid at 37 years old. Then on the show where they had this female doctor telling these ladies, these are your prime years to have a child, also prime years of getting married. There was a lady on the show. The woman was 30 years old. 30 years old. Woman could not have any kids. She's like, the lady, she was crying on stage. Somebody should have told me. Somebody should have told me. Somebody should have told me. But nobody told her. Nobody told her that her prime years were from 18 to 27 and that she needed to settle down and find a husband then. That was the best time for her to do that stuff. So basically, in a nutshell, she wasted her years. And for a lot of you ladies that you don't know, in the medical institutions, many of the people in the medical institutions will let you know that at the age of 35, a woman at the age of 35, for many medical institutions, are considered to be a high-risk pregnancy. At 35, many ladies are considered to be a high-risk pregnancy. So keep that in mind. Do not be deceived by older females telling you you're too young to get married. Don't be deceived by your girlfriends telling you that you're too young to get married, because many times your girlfriends are jealous of you, that somebody's talking to you and that somebody wants to marry you and nobody wants to marry them and nobody wants to talk to them. So they're jealous of you. They want you to be out in the street with them. So anyway, I want to go into a part 2, and I'm going to go into specifics as to what happened to one of my relatives. And so anyway, please like, please share, please subscribe, and peace.